The number one cause of heart disease is not what you think. I called up a heart surgeon, a friend, Dr. Philip Ovadia, and I asked, do you ever see this problem when you do open heart surgeries? And he said nearly 100% of the time. It's a type of visceral fat around the heart itself. What's unique about this fat is it directly contacts the heart muscle and the arteries itself. So that means the inflammation from this type of fat goes directly into the heart first before any other place in the body. The big question is, what causes this layer of fat? And so the key to this whole story is insulin. If insulin is high, you're going to get really fat. You're going to start gaining weight. When insulin is low, everything is reversed. You're going to lose weight and get rid of fat, especially the fat surrounding the heart. This problem with the fat around the heart relates to something called insulin resistance. Very simply, the receptor for insulin is no longer accepting insulin. That's what insulin resistance is. And now the problem is, where does the fat go? Accumulates around the liver as a fatty liver, accumulates around the organs as visceral fat. I'm going to give you 7 clues to determine if you have insulin resistance. Number 1, if you're a guy and your waist is greater than 40 inches, chances are you have insulin resistance. If you're a female and you have a waist size that's over 35 inches, chances are you might have insulin resistance. Next one, if you have a skin tag or even like this darkened pigment skin underneath the armpits and your groin, think insulin resistance. If your triglycerides are high or you have low HDL, think insulin resistance. If you have difficulty losing weight, you probably have insulin resistance. And the last clue is that you just can't go very long without needing a meal. Fasting is difficult. That's called insulin resistance. But this leads to a bigger question. What actually causes insulin resistance? Yes, starches like potato, pasta, bread, cereal, crackers, and all that stuff as well. Definitely out of a lot of these, fructose is at the top of the list. But there's other causes like stress or even having a chronic problem with your sleep where you just don't sleep that well. Maybe you have sleep apnea or you just don't sleep. That can set you up for insulin resistance. This is why people crave maybe junk food or sugar if they haven't slept or they're under stress. But there's one other big cause to insulin resistance you need to know about. Seed oils. That's right, seed oils. Some people will say the omega-6 fatty acids are essential, which they are. But you know what a lot of these studies never look at? Oxidation from these oils. You see, these omega-6 oils are very, very fragile, very vulnerable to oxygen, heat, and light. But do you ever notice when they make seed oils, like this could sit on the shelf, it doesn't even have to be refrigerated for a very long time. How do they get it to do that? These industrial seed oils are highly processed with high heats, with chemicals like hexane, which is in your gasoline. And so that when you consume this stuff, it gets stuck in your cells for like 1.5 years. That is a major contributor to the insulin receptor damage on the surface of that cell. And especially since the average person consumes literally 25% to 30% of their calories being these oils. Here a person is, they go on the ketogenic diet, the low carb diet, and they're not eating sugars anymore, and they're not consuming starches, and they're feeling better, but maybe their inflammation is not going away. Maybe they're not reversing their heart problems, and maybe they're not even correcting insulin resistance because the ketogenic low carb diet is a low carb diet. It's not a low seed oil diet. But if you read my book, I talk about the healthy version of the ketogenic diet. I'm talking about doing the low carb diet with higher quality ingredients, cooking with butter, tallow, maybe coconut oil, using olive oil, not the seed oil dressing. So one of the root causes for heart disease is the epicardial fat, which comes mostly from the combination of sugar, starches, but definitely seed oils, aka if you add all those up, you get ultra-processed foods. But the good news is there's some really quick things to do to get rid of this fat. So number 1, get rid of the seed oils, replace it with healthy oils. I'll put a link down below for more details. Number 2, go on a low carb, low starch diet, aka keto diet. The other interesting thing about this fat is it's not like regular fat. It's right in the center. It's like a beige color. Of course, this is yellow, but it's really beige, which means it's right in the middle, but it does respond very well to things that also stimulate brown fat, like cold therapy, like taking a cold shower. Cold immersion tanks are really good to help with this. It's one of the fastest way to drop your insulin, okay? Because it's the chronic insulin production that really creates the problem. So if we just reverse the flow and not increase insulin by not eating, we can quickly turn things around. So I would recommend 2 meals a day, with your first one at lunch and your second one at dinner, and absolutely, positively no snacks, because it's the snacks that destroy the ability to get rid of this fat. And it's something that's been introduced as a normal thing, that we need to snack between meals, which is totally the worst habit you can do. And what's really interesting, the type of exercise you do matters. I mean, just one bout of high intensity interval training can actually make your receptors for insulin more sensitive significantly. So do not forget about exercise. And that high intensity interval training works better than a moderate intensity of running or jogging a long distance, because of the cortisol spike that happens when you do that. 2 other things that can help you. Number 1 is doing apple cider vinegar a few times a day in some water, like 1 tablespoon in a glass of water. And then berberine is also something that can help you speed up the process. And to get the details on how to do intermittent fasting, you should watch this video right here.